ET hypothesis makes no sense whatsoever. You know, it's kind of like a bunch of cows are on the ground and they see these F-18 jets flying over. Like the cow is like, oh, it must be coming from a farm over there. It's not thinking about like countries and Air Force bases and whatever. So I think we're a little bit like that. You know, we're like cows and we're like, oh, must be coming from Mars. You know, it's just like we're thinking so different. And I think an advanced intelligence is manipulating frequency, electromagnetics, gravity when it applies, time, you know, and consciousness.
If people knew what the stakes were, if they just knew what, you know, what these guys are telling me, and once people know this stuff, and if it really caught fire and everyone knew it, that this was real, it would completely be, it would change everything. It would just change everything, how we operate as a country, how we operate in partnership with other countries, and what our civilization is doing.
All right, let's talk about some of the stuff you were told that you can share. The biggest question, who are they? I mean, I think I said in the introduction that some people in your group refer to them not as aliens or the visitors, they refer to them as the others. Is there significance in using that term?
You know, I don't know the significance of the others. The phenomenon is not used. Aliens is not used. It's the others, and when you're taught, the way it's explained to me is that they are gods, with the little g. So the entire UFO phenomenon is about multiple gods that fight amongst themselves and by design factionalize mankind into different religions to step back and let us fight each other so it has other things that it wants to accomplish, and we don't notice them because we're too involved fighting each other. So, and they know that. So our government knows that. Our government knows that the others are instigating war amongst mankind. But the other issue is that these gods from you know, you got to look back at ancient history and all those stories about gods that came down and did this and that. It's all true. So that's the other thing. You got to, and I'll get into that in the docuseries. There's some of that stuff I don't want to get into tonight, but the government is very aware that this intelligence is pitting different countries against each other based on religion, on purpose. And it's a scary scenario. So it's like it's a multiple front war that we're fighting, because now we have to worry about each other and we have to worry about the others. So that's part of the reason for the secrecy, is not to. We don't want everyone knowing our vulnerabilities, and we don't want everyone knowing the advancements we've made to protect everybody against multiple adversaries.
Well, multiple adversaries, some of them being humans, like the Russians. You mentioned earlier an incident that we've reported some of these kinds of incidents. I personally investigated them in Russia about Russian ICBMs being activated after UFOs are over a base that ready to launch, that somebody else is controlling them. We know that we've had incidents like that in our country. Is it somebody just messing with us?
Yeah, it's absolutely. And the scary thing is, and the way it's been told to me, is that we are trying to keep it secret so we don't you know, get the conflict. We don't initiate a conflict where other people aren't, quote, considering the manipulations of the others. So it's like this really touchy dance that we've been doing for 60 years, trying to figure out who is being manipulated as a country more than the other. You know, not the others, but we just know that when you look at places, you know, you got to think about this, for example. Now go back to when Bush came out and he's talking about Iran and North Korea and the axis of evil, and that's, you know, that's our government making a blanket statement that they're really concerned about these areas. Then you kind of go deeper into the parts of the government that know about the UFO phenomenon, the ones they call the others, the ones that are influencing countries, the ones that are by design or maybe by accident happening to crash a very advanced piece of technology in the country's borders so they make better weapons to fight bigger wars. And we're not the only ones that have had a crash. Yes. And so when we make big statements about North Korea or big statements about Iran or China, it's because we are aware that those places are being manipulated and have very advanced technologies now. So we're trying to keep everyone calm, and not initiate a conflict. So we're looking kind of over our left shoulder and our right shoulder, and at the same time, every once in a while, trying to tell everybody about it, but we can't really tell everybody about it. And I think that once people know this stuff, in whatever form, if everyone knew all this stuff, like they came out and told everybody this, from the White House, I just think people would want to help. I think people would say, "Oh my God, it's all been secret," for completely different reasons than ego-based reasons, like they don't want me to know, or I can't handle it, or they think they're better than me. It's like it has nothing to do with it. It's an active war.
So the overall picture that we get, filling in the blanks from what you've said tonight, is that something sort of dropped in our laps back at the beginning of the Cold War, and the same kind of thing seems to have dropped in the laps of maybe the Russians and maybe others.
And, quote, potentially just to see who is stronger. And that's a scary thing. That's, quote, we don't know. But that's what that's literally how these guys have to think. It's
like a multi-level chess game or something.
That's exactly what it is. It's a multi-level chess game, and they have to sit back and go, what is the reason they just happen to have had a crash here? What is the reason there's a huge religious war going on right now? What is the reason that all of a sudden, China's defense budget has quadrupled in the past few years? It's all these things, and I think that creates a pretty stressful picture. And the other thing is too, they can't come out and tell everybody that all these religions that are firing all over the planet for the past thousands of years are based off things they saw in the sky. It's like that's gonna hit hard at home for a lot of people. It's gonna be hard to digest.
Charles Fort, the founder of the Fortean movement, he had a statement that he said after all the years of strange stories that he collected, he feels that we're property. And then I remember, just as an adjunct to that, right when I first started chasing these mysteries, there was a book called Gods of Eden by a guy named William Bramley, who wrote it and then just kind of went away, which sort of painted the picture that we are like cattle. We're an agricultural product. If you wanted to know why there might be reasons why some of the big picture is kept from us, I mean, people say they're ready to know the full picture. I'm not sure they are.
Yeah, I don't know if people are either. I do know, and as of 2 weeks ago, we all had suspicions about cattle mutilations being involved with the phenomenon. I do know that, yes, absolutely they are. And I mean, just a couple of days, they found, 10 or 20 elk lined up in the snow with all their jaws cored up and their genitals all cut out and the blood was missing, and the same exact thing that's been happening for decades. And that's creepy. That's demonic. That's evil, weird, scientific, dark stuff going on, and it's been happening for a very long time. And I think it would scare people that we might be property. We might be,
harvested.
Divided. You got to look at the big picture. Is that what's happening right now? Is everyone believes something different about God, and we're all killing each other over it, and we all have advanced weaponry based off crashes that just happen to fall on our borders. And then while we're doing that, these things are zipping around and doing weird things with animals, doing weird things with people and abductions, and they're off, trying to accomplish something. You and I have had discussions about the pain and the anger and the emotional energy of all the war. Maybe there's something there that is something that they're interested in, the emotional side of things, and which is hard to think of, but it's still energy,
And we've heard a lot of stuff here tonight. The idea that there is another intelligence operating among us that is referred to as the others, that they sort of mess with us. That there are projects and people within government and outside of government that are trying to figure this stuff out. But the overall picture is pretty grim. You know, we folks who talk about UFO stuff on a regular basis, the subject of disclosure comes up. Hey, we're ready. We're ready. We know we can handle it. Tell us the full story. And it makes you wonder, you know, are we really ready for the full story? If the truth is that we humans are an agricultural product, are we ready to hear that?
There was an alert that went out that all of our nuclear weapons and the weapons that are at the tip of the spear for NATO, so it's all of NATO's weapons, that over a third of them were simultaneously being shut down within our oceans by UFOs that were zipping around and shutting these things down. And I think, you know, what's scary about there's actually another part of the story, and the mechanisms by which that keep a lot of those online come from space, and then those mechanisms in space were being shut down at the exact same time. So it had to do with space and the oceans. You know what
makes me worry even more is that whether it could be the Russians, that they've got some technology that these others gave to them just to mess with us.
Well, that is part of the story, and it's a very, very specific and clear part of the story that I've been given that I will be communicating, and that will be in the books, but the docuseries, I'll talk about that quite a lot. There is a major advancements that Russia has, that we have, that China has, based on technology that has either been given by design or given by accident. I personally, from everything I'm hearing, it seems to look like it was given by design. Once again, like I told you earlier, quote, to see who is the stronger, and that's a scary thought, you know, to give weaponry like that and to step back and say, now go kill each other, and we'll work with the ones that are left over. So like you said it the best. It is this crazy complex game of chess that's going on.
You know, we've been in this a long time, and I've been right there pounding the pulpit along with everybody else, saying we're ready for disclosure. Tell us the truth, end this cover up. And you have to step back and wonder sometimes, is that the case? And the longer people are in this field, some of the colleagues that I work with over the years, the people whose opinions I respect the most, all sort of gravitate to that position. Hey, maybe this is not such a good idea because this stuff could be profoundly disturbing to get the full picture, that we might be an agricultural product, that there is some kind of entity that might as well be a god, or I'm thinking about the stories of Skinwalker Ranch that we've written about, where this thing at best is ambivalent, but it can do all kinds of stuff. It seems to feed off of fear. It can be very dark and threatening at times. I remember laughing at people who would say, it's not aliens, it's demons. I couldn't laugh anymore. I'm not so sure about that.
There is a very, very strong link between what people think demons are from the Bible and other religions, and the UFO phenomenon. And what you have is something that doesn't like man, period, and something that feels either jealous of or has some kind of plan for what man is to be.
As much as it was fun to think Tom was crazy and left his band to chase aliens or whatever, I was laughing. I was like, you guys have no idea what I'm involved in and what I know and what I've been briefed on and what my guys know. And it's coming and people need to brace themselves. And there's some negative things about it. And it's going to be hard to digest for some people, but then there's some really good things about it. It's just, something that nobody else knows, and you look around and the whole world's different to me than it would be for you or anybody else. I go to like the beach and I see thousands of people. I go, man, these people, they have no idea what's going on. They have no idea. And when they find out, they're going to freak the fuck out.